All right. What's going on, family? We're about to get this Create Your New Life training started. Another week of success. Oh, yeah. We'll let a couple of more people get in. All right. So welcome to the Create Your New Life real estate training powered by Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. We're excited for another week to get together and we will talk real estate, talk what are the things that you need to be doing and focusing on to create the type of life that you want to have for yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, we've gotten into this business for a specific reason, and the specific reason is to have a specific quality of life. It's not about the money, it's about the type of life the money can create for us. So those are the things we talk about. Again, everybody that comes to the Create Your New Life, the invitations that go out per week are not all just for Brooks and Davis agents, but it is, so we definitely want to welcome those individuals that are not Brooks and Davis agents, but have decided to join us in our company meeting and training for the day. So, like we like to do, if you are on the call and you want to chime in, if you have a question or you have a comment on something that I've talked about, please, it's not about me just talking. You can come in and we can dialogue about it. I really like that level of engagement for our calls to be for that. So the title of our talk is called Preparing for the Seller to Choose You. So preparing for the seller to choose you. So why did I call it that? Because this is going to be the second installment of our Working with Sellers series. So in our Working with Sellers, we've already completed our Working with Buyers series. So now we're going to go ahead and walk through that. We've already did our first talk. This was maybe about a month or so ago because I want to speak about the conferences and then I want to speak about the expo booths. So now we're going to jump back on track with the Working with Sellers series. And today we're going to talk about preparing for the listing appointment or the initial property consultation. How do you prepare for it and position yourself for the seller to pick you once you get to their house? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So before we get started, we're going to handle a little bit of business. So we're going to talk about the pending board, and let's see what kind of activity we've done this week. So let's see, let's get this going. All right, so as of today, we are 4.6 million and some change of active pending production that's currently on the board. So one of our agents, Mr. Charles Adams, actually added some production to the board. So congratulations, Charles. Way to go. So that's our number. It hasn't adjusted our top 5 producing agents. So these are still our top 5. Kim Stubblefield is holding on to that number 1 spot at the top. And then we see who's rounding out the top 5 for us this week. So again, this is the time really. And what we've been seeing here in the corporate office is that we've been seeing a lot of people kind of raising their hand and saying that they're now interested in getting into the market. So the people they're needing to be educated. So whether it's their credit, whether it's they need to save up some money, so a lot of people are just looking into wanting to get a home. And I think a lot of it may have to do with the fact, since we're going into the last quarter, people are kind of getting geared up naturally for the coming of the new year. So with that being said, you really want the way that you can best capitalize on that momentum is whoever's coming in and they're asking questions, you go ahead and you set them up for your production going into the first quarter next year. So if they need credit repair, you put them in your credit repair bucket and you monitor them. If they need to speak with the lender, you have them go talk to the lender. If they need to save up money, you put them in another bucket to where you're following up with them once a month and to make sure that they're saving money. So ultimately, all these people that are coming to you, you're putting them on track so you can close them out for the next year. So you're setting up your future income. Is kind of what we're seeing. Okay, let's see. Hold up. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so are you ready for some football? So where should we be? Actually, this number is not right. We should be at 2.562. No, we've done that one. So really, we should be at, if we're going to hit our target, we need to be at 3,075,000. And we are not there, people. We are not there. So where are we though? We are at 1.47 million. 1.47 million. All right, so that's where we are. Now, people, look, nobody's gonna get these tickets. I want to go to the game. Can you guys help me get to the game? The way for us to get to the game is that we have to get $4.1 million worth of production by October 8th, and we're not on track to do that. So we got to do something. We got to pick it up. Right now, we're, $1.6 million away, and it just keeps the gaps getting larger. So come on, people, let's get our heads in the game. Let's get some stuff under contract. Okay. Now, again, we're talking about working with sellers. We talked about how you need to kind of be positioning and putting people in their buckets. Well, let's start shaking some trees, right? Shake some trees, call some past clients, call your cousins, call your fraternity brothers or your sorority sisters, call the people you go to church with. Just call anybody, because there's still people that are actively wanting to engage and get in the market. Call some of those clients that you was working with before and it just kind of flaked out, the deal flaked out, or for whatever. But let's go ahead and start shaking some trees and let's get some people under contract. Get these clients that you have that are pre-approved already, get them to pick a house. Really, that's how we're going to reach our goal, is speaking to your clients that they're pre-approved, ready to go, they want to buy a house, or you have their house listed. Find them a buyer. Find a buyer for their house listed. Find a house for them to buy. Boom. And let's get it fully executed, and let's get it on the board so I can go watch the Texans along with the top agent. We go beat up on the Indianapolis Colts. So let's do it. Come on, let's get it done. All right, so what else we have? All right, so we got some great opportunities coming up with the Champion School of Real Estate Career Fair and the HBREA Home Buying and Lifestyle Expo. So Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm has a booth at both of those events. Now, I've sent out a sign-up genius yesterday for the career fair because that event is coming up before the other one, and then I'll go ahead and get the sign-up genius for that done, and I'll get that one sent out next week. So what's in it for you, right, working these booths? Well, we have our program to where if you recruit an agent, you get 5% of their production. So now that means if you go to this career fair and you work that booth for an hour, because we only have hour slots. Now, if you want to work the whole thing, you just put your name in there for every single hour, and you can work the whole event. But typically, we just need maybe 2 people per hour. So you go there, and now you're going to be in front of individuals that have raised their hand and said, I want to be a realtor. I want to be in real estate. And all of these people are going to be there. So now here's an opportunity for you to recruit some individuals, expose them to Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm. When they sign up, you let us develop them. They start making money. And now you have some mailbox money. You have money coming to you on a consistent basis off of the efforts of somebody else. It's called streams of income, right? So here's an opportunity for all you have to do is just show up and engage, right? So that's why we call it our booth engagement officers, because all you have to do is show up to the booth and engage the people that are already going to be drawn there by Champion School of Real Estate. They've done all the hard work. They're the ones that got the people in the room. So all you have to do is just get them to engage, get the information, nurture the relationships, get them to sign up with Brooks & Davis, and then it's going to turn over for you. So we have that opportunity. The other opportunity with the Home Buying and Lifestyle Expo, so that's the Houston Black Real Estate Association, and it's marketed to consumers. So there's possible home buyers that are going to be attending this event. There are possible home sellers that are going to be attending this event. So we have a booth there as well. There are other real estate companies that have booths, so the realtors that have booths, but to me, I don't care. Like, I don't care if I'm in the room with a bunch of other real estate professionals. And the reason that why I don't care is because most people, through my experiences, what they do at their booths, they just kind of stand there and they just wait for people to kind of walk up. They don't really have no plan. They don't really have no process. See, we're going to be on it. So we got our process. We know how to capture information. We code with our follow-up. So we're going to outdo anybody else that's there. Again, it's another opportunity for you guys to get leads and, you know, put these leads into your database, follow up with them, nurture them to add to your bottom line. Here's another opportunity. HBREA's done the hard work. They've got the people there. We've got the booth. You just need to show up and you just need to engage. I'm not just saying come like to these events. I'm not just saying attend. I'm saying when you get there, you engage with the opportunity and it's going to turn over for you. Okay, so we talked about the expo. Hey, we got the Realtor Recruitment Rally. So again, this is our page. We went through that last week. So now on the Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm website, we have a new career in real estate page. So that's another resource, another tool that you can use from a recruitment standpoint to encourage individuals to take a hard look at Brooks & Davis. Larry W. Brooks, our co-founder, is always looking for talented individuals to get in front of. I believe that that our organization has a lot of value to offer to people. Ultimately, you know, I've always had a strong desire and emphasis on development. I think it has something to do with just my natural inclination is teaching. Like, I like teaching. I want to teach. So since that's natural for me, I'm looking for people that I can develop and that I can grow. And I truly want to put more money in people's pockets when it comes to this market. This market is wide open when it comes to opportunity. So, you know, there are plenty of people out there in this market that are not making money. They're licensed, they're with other companies, and they're just not planted in good soil. They're not planted in the right place to help them. And I believe now we have the mechanisms in place to help people be successful. I haven't always been confident in saying that when it came to our company, but now I feel real good about saying that, making those statements. So now I just need you all to go out and recruit and you know, just bring more people in for us to help get them to the next level. So that's a little, you know, again, there's that link to the website that we can put in front of people. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a recap from last week's talk. And again, the reason that I want to do a little bit of a recap is because of the opportunities that we have for next Friday at Champion School of Real Estate, as well as the opportunity in a couple of weeks for the Home Buyers Workshop. So last week we talked about feeding your database in chunks through properly working a booth, right? So some of the things that we talked about, and I'm not going to go through the whole video. So if you want to see what that whole video entailed, just look at last week's Create Your New Life for Brooks & Davis agents who have access to it. Unfortunately, if you're not a Brooks & Davis agent, you don't have access to our past sessions. But if you're a Brooks & Davis agent, you can go back and you can look at what we talked about last week. So a couple of things that we talked about. We talked about marketing that you'll be there. So now, if you are going to sign up through Sign Up Genius to attend the Champion School of Real Estate event, then what you want to do is that you want to post that on your social media, send that through your email blast, and contact your sphere of influence. Maybe your past clients. Hey, call your past clients and say, look, we're doing a workshop. Do you know anybody? I mean, we're doing a booth at an event. Do you know anybody that's interested in getting into real estate? Number one, that allows you to market, number one, what you're doing. Number two, it gives you a reason to nurture your database and follow with your past clients. You want to identify reasons to call your past clients, because one of the things that most realtors deal with, or most salespeople deal with, is that apprehension that they feel like they're being a bother to people. So the reason you feel like you're being a bother is because you're calling them and you don't have anything of value to offer the conversation. So at that point, you're just being a distraction to their routine. Well, now with something like this, you're calling and you're educating them. So you're educating them on an opportunity. Maybe they've been thinking about getting into real estate. I currently have two past clients right now. We helped sell them houses. One of them, we sold her a house 2 years ago, and she's currently taking real estate classes. She may even be on this video, but she's currently taking real estate classes going to get her real estate license. So your past clients may they may be thinking about getting into real estate. So this is something of value that you can offer to them. So you just call them up and ask them, who do you know? You don't have to say, are you interested? Just say, do you know anybody that's interested? So they're not necessarily going to see that as a bother. They're going to see that as an opportunity to help somebody else. And it's revealing to them that you're still active, you're still busy, right? You want to show people that real estate is not a hobby. You want to show people that real estate is a business. This is your career. This is what you do. This isn't your part-time hustle. This is, I'm a professional in this business right here. So the best way to solidify that in people is to show them activity, constant and consistent activity. All right, so you want to market it. Just this morning, and if you all follow me on social media, you would have saw the post that I posted this morning. If you're not following me, I recommend that you go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm on all of those, and Snapchat. And I post on all of those. And you guys can see the posts that I send out and share them to your people or copy them. It doesn't matter to me. But I sent out a post about the Champion School of Real Estate event that we're having on the 30th. And all I said was, are you interested in getting into real estate? And question mark. And then I put, if so, then I gave them the website. Go to this website and visit our booth at this event. And I attached the flyer. That's simple. Send it out, and I marketed the event. So now people know where I'm going to be, and it's an opportunity for me to market that I'm going to be at that booth. Okay, create an event on Facebook. So I know that that's something that Mr. Brooks is going to do, is that he's going to create an actual Facebook event. And again, not an event marketing Champion School of Real Estate, but an event an event for people to come to the booth, come to your booth specifically. So the way the event's going to be created and designed is going to be built around them setting an appointment or them coming to the actual booth, right? You want to see who's saying, I'm going to come to your booth specifically. Not only am I coming to the event, but I'm coming to your booth as well. And all of you all can set up events. If you're going to it, set up an event on your Facebook page, and that's a way to expose yourself to those individuals that are following you on social media as well. So you want to capture information digitally. So, for the most part at the career fair, we're already going to kind of have those mechanisms set up. So you don't really have to worry about that for these two events. But if you were to ever do a booth on your own, you absolutely want to make sure that you don't just have a sign-in sheet and people are bending over and writing their information. Number one, people have bad handwriting. So you can't see what their phone numbers are. You can't see what their email addresses are. And it's very important that that information is accurate because you're going to follow up with them. So you want to have something in place to where people are typing in their information because you have a better chance of understanding what they're writing. Number one. Number two, you don't want to have to go back and take time actually typing that stuff into a digital software. See, that's time you can be doing something else, operating in your top 20% that's going to help produce income for you. So if you set it up digitally, when they input their information, it's automatically going to be in the form or the format that you can best utilize and use. So that's why you want to do that. You want to use smartphone, tablet, Google Forms, Evernote, business card capture. There's so many resources out there, man. My new term lately has been paper and pen is obsolete. It's the difference between riding in an automobile and riding in a horse and carriage. Some people are just a horse and carriage kind of person, right? That's what I've been hearing. When I tell people that, they say, well, I'm just a paper kind of person. I'm just a paper calendar kind of person. I'm just a paper note-taking kind of person. Oh, okay. Well, you have access to cars, but you want to be a horse and cart kind of person, right? Even though you have access to it. You have access to email, but you want to be a snail mail kind of person. Like that don't make sense. That's okay. You have access to cell phones, but you want to be a handwriting letter type of person. That's the way you want to communicate. It's obsolete. Come on, let's go ahead and let's update our game. Let's get out there and let's be more effective, because that's going to allow us to help more people, and we help more people, we make more money. We make more money, we have a better quality of life. It all connects. Let's do it. So we want to draw the people in. Again, for these particular events, you don't really have to worry much about that because we're going to set that up. We just need you to show up and engage, but you want to have the content and items that people care about. right? When you do it on your own, you want to have information that's relevant. Don't just have a bunch of stuff on your table. When they come to your table, you want them to kind of linger there and read a little bit. But if they can quickly walk up to your table and see that you don't really have much on there that's talking about anything, they're going to walk away. So you want to have solid content and items that people care about. You want to have a drawing. You know, that's, you want to give people incentive to give you their information. And candy is magical. Have you a bucket or a bowl. You'll see this on Friday. You just have your bowl of candy, some good candy on your table. People will come up there because they will come up there and get their candy. And I don't know what it is about it, but that's just something that we do. Bright lights, video projectors. I'm gonna find out today if we can have a projector. Hopefully we can. And if we can, I'm just gonna have a projector behind us rolling through our community videos that are on our website. Just gonna be rolling through. We're gonna have some audio. We're gonna have that visual. That alone is gonna draw people to the booth because people are nosy and it looks cool being projected on the wall. Or I can bring our screen and it's just kind of being projected. And people are gonna be like, hey, I wonder what they're projecting on that screen. So then they're gonna walk over there because they're nosy. And that's okay, because we can do something with nosy. So we just capitalize off of it. So that's what our plan. So, you know, lights, video, projectors, sound, those are the things that tap people's senses to make them want to come to you. All right. Let's see. We talked about post on social media real time. So if you're at the event, you know, shoot out a quick post. Hey, I'm here at the booth. Because again, you want to show activity to your audience. So even if they're not coming to the event, you want them to see that you're actively engaged in this, that you're serious about real estate. Because think about it. If a person decides that they want to sell their house or they want to buy a house, which for most people is the single largest investment for them, do you think that they're going to want to entrust that with somebody they feel like is very active and serious about this, or somebody that kind of does it when they feel like it, but they have a real job, like people used to say to me all the time, when you gonna get a real job? Like some people have a real job, so that this is just a hobby for you. Well, obviously people don't want to entrust that in somebody that takes their business seriously. This is their career. Well, people don't make that determination at the time that they're going to buy the house. That has to have already been set up throughout time of them observing you, to where now they can come to the conclusion that this person right here is somebody that I can trust with my major investment like that. Okay. And then so please don't sit down on the job. Engage. You have got to get up and go to booths all the time, and people are just sitting there. Like I'm sitting here in this seat behind this desk. People are just sitting there at the booth, just waiting for people to come by. Again, that's why I am not worried at all about having other real estate companies at the home buyer expo, because I know what they do. They just sit there and they wait. Or some of them don't even come. They just put the material on the table and then they leave the booth. What's the point? It's a waste of time. But hey, I don't have a problem with other people doing it, but we're not going to do it because we know pictures, because after the event, again, it's all about activity. You want to post on social media. You want to have the pictures, maybe put on some of your other markets, you create marketing. You want to see pictures. People love, they love pictures. Okay. So I want to touch upon that again, because we have those two events coming up, and I definitely want to encourage you all to take advantage of coming to both of them. One of them, you can get recruits where you can get you some mailbox money. The other one, you can actually pick up leads that you can work on and go ahead and get, you know, impact your bottom line. So two great opportunities for you guys, Brooks and Davis agents. Okay, so now we're going into our Working with Sellers series. That's what we're going to talk about here for maybe the next 30 minutes or so. We're going to be talking about preparing for the listing presentation. And the thing is that we may not make it to that today, because I want to go into a little bit more detail about what I talked about the very first session, which was Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, right? Because that one talked about pre-qualification. Now, I learned a lot from the Texas Association of Realtors conference that really spoke to the pre-qualification aspects of things and how to connect with the client, or the customer, excuse me, how to connect with the customer through the initial phone conversation. How to connect with the customer through the initial phone conversation. So that's what we're going to look at and talk about today. So last time when we talked about this, we talked about the pre-qualification questions. and I told you that I needed to update them. So I actually did update them. So let me pull those up real quick. Okay, so these are the pre-qualification script. Well, matter of fact, before I go there, let's go here. So this is your 7.training folder, right? Okay, so this is your 7.training folder. If you cannot access your 7.training folder, send me a text or on the group me or an email right now. Send it right now if you cannot access the 7.training folder, because the 7.training folder is like your Bible, right? Everything that you need is in your 7.training folder. And if you can't access it, you're putting yourself in a very precarious situation. So if you cannot access your 7.training folder, reach out to me immediately so we can work towards that. Now, if you can access your 7.training folder, you need to go through it and get familiar with it, because there's a lot of value, a lot of great information in the 7.training folder, right? So more specifically, as far as today's conversation, let me make this a little bigger. Okay, so we have our different processes, right? So we have our working with buyers process, we have our working with sellers process. So in your 7.training folder, you click on your working with sellers process, and then you have the different steps. So what we're talking about today is folder 1, folder 2. So right now I'm in folder 1, which is lead generation. And this is where you're going to find your pre-qualification questions. Now, the last video that, the very first installment, the beginning of the Workers series, we spoke about the pre-qualification questions and script and the pre-qualifying sheet for the seller, as well as the pre-listing packet. So we talked about all three of those things in detail in the first video. So I'm not going to go back over all of that, but I do want to expand upon that conversation when it came to the pre-qualification questions, the qualifying sheet, from a connecting standpoint, because it's very important that you're able to connect with the client on the initial phone call. Okay, so on that last video, I said I needed to update the questions, and I did that. So these are the updated questions and script when it comes to working with the seller and pre-qualifying. Get that bigger. Okay. Okay, so again, hi, thanks for taking my call. My job is to reach out to customers. We can assess your situation, see how the firm can best serve you. All right, so these are people that you're following up with, that are maybe referred to you, that maybe somebody told you that so-and-so was thinking about selling their house, just kind of give you a lead way in. Okay, now these are the different questions. Now, again, these questions are designed to pre-qualify and connect. You got to pre-qualify and connect. Okay, what you're looking to accomplish through the initial phone call, whether that's for the buyer or the seller, you're looking to get them to agree to allow you to meet with them. You are not trying to sell them on using you. You're not trying to sell them on using your service. You're trying to sell them on getting in front of you and having a meeting, an appointment. That's the only thing you're trying to sell when you're on the phone. Okay, that there are two different things. There are two different skills you have to have. You have to have a skill of getting people to meet with you, and you also have a skill of getting people to hire you at the appointment. Those are two separate things. Do not try to sell a person on you over the phone. It's not going to work. Okay, now in those times when it does work, it's because that person was sold on you anyway, right? But when you're cold calling, cold leads, referral leads, people that are interviewing other people, they're not going to make a decision over the phone. You got to set the appointment. Sell by owners, expireds, so and so, internet leads, all of that. And see, that's where people are become successful in this business. It's being able to convert and capitalize, not warm leads. Everybody can do warm leads. It's about capitalizing on things that are not warm through your internet. Again, your internet leads, through your internet leads, through your for sale by owner. You know, those are the things that put you in a position to where you can be successful, even more successful when it comes to this business. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all the questions because I did that last time. But again, these questions are designed to connect with the client. I'm sorry, to pre-qualify the client and connect. You want to pre-qualify them because you don't want to waste your time unnecessarily at an appointment, because it's going to take time, gas, money to get to wherever you're going and meet with whoever you're meeting with. So you don't want that to be a waste. So you want to make sure you do your due diligence over the phone as far as pre-qualifying them. But again, for them to agree to the appointment with you, you're going to have to connect. So there's some connection questions that are built in to this script. Okay, so now I want to go into more detail when it comes to connecting. So when I say connect, what am I meaning? All right, so this slide speaks to connecting through the initial conversation. Now keep in mind, when you're speaking with the seller, you have the pre-qualification questions, and you also have the pre-listing questions. The difference is that you do the pre-qualification questions, you're trying to get them to agree to meet with you. You do the pre-listing questions when they said, yes, I will meet with you. All right. And the point of the pre-listing questions, and you can say this to them, is that I want to make sure that I'm best prepared for our meeting when I come on whatever date. So that's why I want to go through these questions. But again, the point of both of those, it's an opportunity for you to further connect with the seller. Okay. So when I say connecting questions, there are transactional questions, and there are connecting questions. There are transactional questions, there are connecting questions. All right, so what's the difference? The difference is, let's look at our pre-qualification script. I didn't get your name. That's a transactional question. That's a fact. See the difference between transactional questions and connecting questions. Transactional questions are facts. Connecting questions are feelings. Say that again. Transactional questions are facts. Connecting questions are feelings. So when you ask a transactional question, the person's going to respond with a fact. When you ask connecting questions, the person's going to respond with a feeling. All right. You have to get them to respond with feelings because that's what drives motivation. And you have to be able to, I don't want to say manipulate, but you want to be able to gauge a person's motivation and use that to your advantage to get them to choose you. Remember, all of this is to get them to choose you over somebody else. And you can't be haphazard about it. For you to get chosen, you have to be intentional about how you approach it. So that's what we're talking about. Okay, so what are transactional questions? How long have you been doing that? They're going to answer you that with a fact. Where are you in the process of purchasing a home? They're going to give you the facts. I didn't get your name. They're going to give you facts. Now, what made you get into that field? They're going to answer you with a fact. Now, do you love the work that you do? Okay, so now you're kind of tapping into feelings. What do you love or hate about your job? Because see, their job may be the reason that they want to buy a house. Their job may be the reason that they're having to relocate. It may have to do with their job. So if a person says they hate their job, you think that they may hate their job because their job is having them relocate, and that's why they're having to buy a house. So see, now those negative feelings are connected to the transaction, or vice versa. They may say they love their job, and their job is the reason that they're relocating. Okay, well, great. That's a space that you definitely want to be in and play in to give you a better chance of them picking you, because they're able to associate you with something that they already love, which is their job. So that's why it's good to ask that question. What are you going to do when you retire? Again, that's when you start getting into connecting questions, because see, a person goes deep. When a person makes a choice that this is what they're going to do when they retire, then at that point, they've gone through this whole life, and I'm just saying for most people, they've gone through this whole life, and they had to work at this job for most people that they don't like because they had bills that had to get paid. So they were doing it out of an obligation. They felt like, a lot of times people feel like they don't have a choice in the matter because they don't want their family to be out on the street. But once you get to retirement At that point, you can now start choosing what you do. Yeah, you've had all these years of obligation, but now now you can do whatever you want to do. So what are you going to do when you retire? Takes them to a good place. It takes them to a happy place. And you want people to be in happy places when they're considering meeting with you, because you want them to associate happy places with you. It's all about their perception and how they view you. And you want to maximize that. Okay. So now, again, they add the transactional questions, they're going to answer with facts. The connecting questions, they're going to answer with feelings, how they feel about something. All right, so now let's go back to our slide. So in this slide, if you look to the right and it talks about measuring motivation, this is a solid example of getting or transitioning from transactional questions to connecting questions. So you have to be it has to be a transition, and it has to be a smooth transition when you do it. So how do you transition from transactional questions to connecting questions while you're on the phone and it be smooth? Well, I thought this was a great example. So the question is, why are you moving at this time? All right. So now they're and that works with buyers or sellers. Why are you moving at this time? Okay. Now they're going to answer you with the fact. They got a new job. They're getting put out by the landlord. The kids, they want to move the kids to a better school. Whatever reason they give you, they're going to give you an answer. They're going to answer with a fact. It's a factual statement. Okay. Nobody's going to answer that question with, I just feel like moving. And if they do answer that question with, I just feel like moving, you need to dig in deeper and find out why they're doing what they're doing. But for the most part, people don't answer that question because they don't feel like it's intrusive. All right. So then after they answer whatever they answer, well, what does this? So say they say we're moving because I'm getting a new job. Okay. Well, what does you getting a new job mean to you and your family? So now you're transitioning into connecting questions. I think it's a smooth transition though, because I don't think the client's going to be able to, like, they're not going to know what you're doing, right? But it's imperative that you become skilled in being able to do it, because that's going to enhance your conversion ratio. So what does you getting a new job and having to move mean to you and your family? Or what does you all moving so you can have better schools for the kids mean to you and your family? Or what does you having to get put out of the home because of the landlord and now you're having to move, what does that mean to you and your family? And they're going to answer. So now they're forced to answer that with a feeling, because see, that's not a fact. See, what that means to them and their family, they're going to have to pull that from their heart. And they're going to have to tell that to you when they answer that question. So now you've gotten into a connection question. Okay, so then the next question is, once they answer that, what would happen if you didn't get to move within however many days? So before you go into that, when you ask them, well, how soon do you need to be moved in? And it's going to, all right, hold on. So if we go back to, hold on. Okay, there we go. So if we go back to our questions, one of the questions here is, let's see. God, where are you moving to? Here we go. How soon do you have to be there? So see, the questions are already built in to the script. It's just about utilizing them. So the script talks about how long, where are you moving to and how soon do you need to be there? So you can get that question out of them. When you get that question out of them, then this next question becomes powerful. So how soon do you need to move? They're going to tell you 30 days. They got 60 days. They got 6 months, whatever they're going to tell you. So now you move into another connecting question. What would happen if you didn't get to move within 30 days or 60 days or 6 months? What would happen? What would happen to you and your family? What would happen to you? Like, what would happen if you didn't move? So now again, They're going to have to speak from the heart, because now what you're doing is that you're trying to tap into their pain. So you want to tap into their pain because that's going to put you in the best position to, again, use that to your benefit to identify what their true motivation is, right? Because the reason that you want to go from transactional questions to connecting questions is because you have to identify what their true motivation is. And people are not going to reveal that to you. Some people don't even know what it is. But most people, even if they do know what it is, they're not going to reveal it to you because they don't know you. Now, keep in mind, this is the initial phone conversation. So they don't know you from Adam. They don't know what you're going to do with that information. You also got to keep in mind the stigma that our industry gives to people, especially when you're calling for sale by owners. They've already had 5, 10, 15, however many agents call them and ask to list their home. And a lot of them don't know how to do it. They're not skilled in it. They have a level of tact that's unacceptable. So now that seller may be trying to associate you with those individuals. Matter of fact, not might be, more than likely, he's going to be associating you with those individuals. And you don't want to be associated with those people. Just because you got a real estate license in Texas and they got a real estate license in Texas, it's not fair to you for him to place you in the same bucket of those other agents that he's dealt with in the past. And that's whether buyer or seller, internet lead or for sale by owner. These people, for the most part, when a person says they don't want to work with an agent, is because they've had a bad experience in the past. They've even had a bad experience in the past. They've drunk the Kool-Aid of what everybody else is saying as far as the lack of value when it comes to agents, or the perception that the industry has about agents. They've drunk the Kool-Aid. If a person doesn't use an agent, it has to be one of those two things. Because look at it from the standpoint of a buyer. They don't even pay for it. So it's a free service to you, and you're tapping into a knowledge base of an expert in a process that you're actively engaged in. Why wouldn't you use an agent? It has to be one of those things. There has to be some level of pain associated with it for them to not take it and not use it, or discomfort, a matter of discomfort, pain, or whatever, for them to not go with it. So you have to understand that. And so because of that, they're not going to tell you their true motivation. Well, by using connecting questions, it helps navigate you and get you to the point of getting those questions answered. So when it comes to motivation, typically people are motivated by one or two things. They're either motivated by opportunity for gain, or in this instance, people are moving to something. They want to move to a positive place. So they want to move to peace. Like, they want freedom. They want to move to privacy. See, like, these are feelings. That's motivation. See, motivation isn't so I want to move closer to my mom. Okay, well, what does moving closer to your mom really mean? See, moving closer to my mom is a fact. It's not necessarily that you want to move close to your mom. It's what moving by your mom will do for the family. So maybe there's more support, right? Maybe there's more comfort or nurturing. Maybe you have concern for your mom, so now there's a level of security for you by being close to your mom. See, that's true motivation, not the facts and things that they try to present. It's like an iceberg. So for those that are not familiar with the formation of icebergs, the stuff that you see above the water is typically 10 to 20% of the actual size, or the true size of the iceberg. Let me say that again. When you see an iceberg and you see it, the part that you see above the water is typically only 10 to 20% of the true size of the iceberg. The majority of the size of the iceberg is under the water. You don't see it. That's how it comes with the motivation. What they offer to you freely, the surface area information, is really about 10% of what you need to get them to allow you to meet with them. It's about 10% of what their true motivation is. And see, you're going to need that. You're going to need their true motivation to get them to allow you to meet with them. You're going to need their true motivation to get them to choose you. You're going to need their motivation to get them to pick a house. You're going to need that motivation, that true motivation, to help them make the decision. So the skill comes in you being able to identify that. And when you identify that, being able to show that to them in such a way to where you don't lose them. So it's very key. This right here is very key and it's very profound. So again, people are either moving to something, so they want to go to something positive. They want to go to peace, freedom, support, security. They're moving to it. Or they're moving away. And most of the times there's both. They're moving away something negative to something positive, right? So they want to move away from chaos. They want to move away from anarchy. They want to move away from danger, right? One of our agents had a client that she met in the elevator. And when she talked to, when the lady came in, and I was just kind of ear hustling, so I overheard the conversation. And one of the things that the lady said was that she wanted to move because she doesn't feel safe. She came right out and said it. Like, the agent was able to get that out of her. The reason that they want to sell their house is because she doesn't feel secure. So she wants to move from a feeling of not safe, of vulnerability. She wants to move from that, and she wants to move to security. So or that agent will know that one of her main motivating factors in finding a new house is security. So when they get to maybe a fork in the road, maybe they get an offer on the house and it's lower than what they want to accept, and you get to a fork in the road and the agent knows this is the best that we're going to get, then she can revert back to, well, once we sell this house, we can go ahead and move you out of this dangerous area and move you into a place of security. So now at that point, the agent's able to tap back into that motivation. So that's why it's extremely important that you remember it and you utilize it, because that's how you're going to help people get past a lot of the little things that kill deals. You got to help them get past that by tapping into their true motivations and their big why. Okay, so I wanted to spend time talking about that. All right, so here's another thing. Again, and this is speaking to separating yourself from other real estate professionals. It's the language of sales, right? I attended a session at the Texas Association of Realtors, and the session was the habits of top agents. Okay, and whenever I hear anything when it comes to top agents, I want to see what are the things that they're doing to make them successful. So that's what drove me, of all the sessions that were going on at that time, that's what drove me to that session. And I learned so much from attending that session, even to the point that we're in the process of redeveloping our agent development program, like Brooks and Davis. We're currently in the process of creating and redefining and redeveloping our agent development program. And it's really built around what I learned in that class and about these agents and these agents' habits. And it was about 41 habits that these top agents did. And when I say top agent, because that's a term that's loosely used. I'm not talking about an agent making $100,000, $200,000 a year, which if an agent's making that much, they are performing a higher than average. Right now, the average real estate professional makes roughly between $30,000 and $35,000 a year. That's average. Now it's up a little bit from last year, but that's still $30,000 to $35,000. You can get that working at, and nothing against me, you can get that working in fast food, right? Of all the hard work that you put in into getting licensed, taking classes, passing the tests, why would you do all of that, becoming a professional, to only make $30,000 a year? That doesn't make sense. There's so much more potential. There's so much more opportunity for return on investment. You want to capitalize off of that opportunity and that return on investment. So don't settle for the average, which is, again, between 30 and 35%. The program, a part of the program is, our goal is, and this is for anybody, any agent, if you're not making at least $70,000 annually, and even $70,000 I feel is, undercutting things, but everybody's not as ambitious as I am, and I'm okay with that. But $70,000 is it's a nice quality of life. It's a good income. It's higher than what a lot of people are making. So if you're not making at least $70,000 or even desiring to make at least $70,000 doing real estate, then my recommendation is that you go do something else. Go get a job. Go get in corporate America. You don't have to be, you could be entry-level corporate America and make $50,000, $45,000. Go do that. If you don't want to at least make 70 grand, then, you know, real estate isn't for you as a career. Now, if you say, well, I want to make at least 70 grand, well, you have to understand that there's going to be some effort, there's going to be some work, there's going to be some mental shift that has to take place for you to accomplish that. Because if it was easy to make $70,000 in real estate, then the average wouldn't be between 30 and 35 if it was easy. We're talking about doubling average. And we're talking about doubling average as a minimum when it comes to our company. When it comes to our company, doubling average is a bare minimum. So at least 70,000, right? But these top agents that these habits were built around, these agents were making $1 million a year. Annual gross commissionable income in a 12-month period, $1 million. So that's top agent. These are the agents that were defining things around their habits. Okay, so now I said that to say this. One of their habits, and I know I misspelled language, but one of their habits is they know the language of sales. They speak differently when it comes to the definitions that we use that are the definitions that are common in our business. They call them something different, right? So I wanted to bring this in now because when you're on the phone, pre-qualifying clients, sellers, going through the pre-listing questionnaire, I call it pre-listing questionnaire. You should call it the initial property consultation, the pre-initial property consultation questionnaire, right? Avoid as best as you can using the terms listing or listing appointment or contract or listing agreement. Don't use those terms, CMA, comps. Don't use that stuff because the majority of the industry is using those terms and you have to differentiate yourself from everybody else because unfortunately the connotation that our industry has and that our professionals have out there is a negative connotation when it comes to the consumer base for the most part. Majority. So you want to swim upstream. You want to go the opposite direction. So you have to understand the language of sales. So instead of saying listing appointment, you say initial property consultation. Instead of saying, you know, buyer's appointment, you say initial buyer consultation. Instead of saying comps or comparables or comparable properties, you say market evidence, right? We're going to use market evidence to justify why we come in at this price. Instead of saying CMA or comparative market analysis, you say equity evaluation, right? We're going to determine how much equity you're going to be able to pull out of the sale of the property. We're going to evaluate that. So we're doing an equity evaluation or we're doing an equity analysis or something like that. Don't say a CMA. Instead of saying listing fee, success fee. Why do we call it a success fee? Because we only get paid our commission when we're successful in selling a home. So when a person asks you, well, how much are you going to list? How much do you charge to list? You say nothing. Now they're going to take a step back and be like, what? You don't charge anything to list the house? And say, no, I don't charge anything to list your house. I'll come out to your house. I'll meet with you. I'll put it on the MLS. I'll put a sign in the yard. I'll pre-screen buyers. I'll market it, you know, in office marketing, and I'll show the property, and I'll let other agents show the property. I'll do all of that for free. Now, when we agree on a buyer, and we take it to fruition, and we actually sell the home, then I charge 6%. See, that's a different conversation. You're not paying me to list your house. All of that's free. And if we never make it to closing on your home within a certain amount of time, if we never make it, then I don't charge you for all that stuff that I did prior to. I don't charge you for marketing the property and putting it on the MLS and putting the sign and the lockbox and the time showing it. That I don't charge you anything for that stuff. So to list your home is free, but we have a success fee of 6% once we close. So you see how that's a different conversation and a different connotation when you're speaking to a seller, and it separates you from the rest of the market. Okay, employment agreement. So use employment agreement instead of listing agreement. They're about to employ you. And that's the same thing when you're working with buyers. Instead of saying a BRA or a buyer's representation agreement, say my employment agreement. You're going to hire me. You're employing me to work for you, to offer you service. And this is the agreement that stipulates that. All right. Instead of saying problems, say challenges. Right. I don't have problems. When people come to me and say, hey, man, we have a problem. No, I don't have a problem. I don't have problems. We have challenges. What is the challenge that we have? And see, when I say the word challenge, then I'm taking it more from a standpoint of authority and control versus a victim. See, when a person says, see, victims have problems. People in authority have challenges. And see, challenges can be overcome. That's why we use the word challenge. All right. When you're saying no, please say no. I don't know why people are afraid to say no. It's okay for people to tell you no, and it's okay for you to tell people no. All right. If you're ever going to maintain any level of balance in your life, if you're going to maintain any level of quality in your life, you have got to become comfortable with the word no. Okay. Now, here's a way to say no. And it kind of lighten the blow because people don't like to hear no. Say unfortunately. Unfortunately not. Unfortunately no. Prime example. Instead of charging a 6% success fee, how about a 5% success fee? Well, wow, I appreciate you asking, but unfortunately I can't do that. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to do that. Right? How about you just come show me this property? I don't send you any pre-approval letter, anything. You just meet me out here and you open the door for me. Sir, unfortunately, I appreciate you asking, and I know you're excited about taking a look at that property, but unfortunately, I can't do that way. This is what I would need to happen for us to be able to do that for you. So don't say no, just say unfortunately not or unfortunately no. Okay? And then instead of saying thank you, say my pleasure. Now, my pleasure, unfortunately not. Some of these terms I got from the restaurant industry, right? Some of this just had the language of sales, just has to do with just straight service and customer service, magical service by adjusting the terms that are used. And again, it's all built around making how people feel. See, look, people don't care about they don't care about how you look. They don't care about what you sound like. They don't care about the color of your skin. They don't care about any of that stuff. People care about how that stuff makes them feel, right? If a person has an issue with an African American because of the color of their skin, it's built in around what the color of my skin causes them, whether that's fear, whether that's anger, but it's tied into a feeling. So people, they move around feelings, and that's what drives them. So these terms, these things make people feel differently. You want them to feel a certain way about you. You want them to feel a certain way about what you can do for them. You have to tap into their feelings, and that's how you become effective in people choosing you, the seller choosing you. They're going to choose you because of how you made them feel versus how somebody else made them feel. That other agent could be smarter than you. They could be better looking than you. They could have done more deals than you. They could be killing it. But if you make that seller feel a certain way and that other agent didn't make that seller feel that way, that seller will pick you. People never go against their feelings, ever. So if you are able to tap into them and you get them to feel a certain way, you're going to win every single time. But again, it's not something that's just going to happen. You have to be intentional about operating within that realm to connect with their feelings in such a way. That's just not going to happen haphazardly. You have to be intentional. Okay. So as far as this part, like I said, I didn't know if we were going to get to the preparing for the initial property consultation, and we didn't get to because I wanted to go deeper into the conversation and the connecting. So we'll pick that up next week. as far as preparing for the initial consultation. But I really want to spend some time going through the power of that initial phone conversation, because it's pertinent that you're successful in doing that and getting the appointment. Okay, so let's talk a little conflict resolution before we go into some coaching. So have an agent, and they're going through the NACA program. All right. So if you all aren't familiar with NACA, NACA stands for Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America.
Right?
And the point of NACA is it's a program. And it's a program that let me try to mute it. So NACA is a program for for an affordable housing program, and the concept around it is that there was some redlining going on. There's been a lot of discrimination when it comes to lending, and especially home ownership lending, mortgages, things like that. So there was a major case back in the 70s, and it was ruled for NACA, which was an advocacy organization at the time, and they won. So now they have access to funds that are to be filtered in from these major banks for affordable housing, to make up for all that they had did for all these years. So with the NACA product, you can go in with zero down. You don't have any closing costs. All of these things that you don't have anymore. Well, NACA kind of wants to control the whole process, which is okay, but they have it to where you can become a certified NACA realtor. Now, we are a certified NACA realtor. Okay, and so we've gone through, and all it is that, and really all of you all should become certified. It's just a matter of you going to, they have these different workshops, and NACA just wants to expose you as a realtor to their process. So I get it. Now, not only are we a certified NACA realtor, we've actually closed a couple of NACA transactions before. So we're certified. Well, the client who, this is a client that, they had a relationship, they went to school together, and, they were, they're going through the program. So the challenge that they're having is not, because NACA originally told them that they were approved up to a certain amount. Well, that approval was based on the wife. The husband ended up losing his job. He's not working. So they got approved up to a certain amount. Now, the challenge with that is that they're not able to find anything in that price point. So the agent had taken them out in that price point. They're not able to find anything. So the biggest adjustment that needs to take place is that the husband needs to find a job. All right. Or the wife could get more if her credit was higher. So the two challenges that they're having is that the wife's credit score is too low and it's limiting their buying power, or the husband doesn't have a job, which is limiting their buying power. And because their buying power is being limited, they can only buy a certain amount of home, which is what they don't want at that price point, and they're first-time home buyers. Okay, so that's what the problem is. As a professional, as a real estate professional, we're clear on what the challenge is. Now, that's in our eyes. Those are the facts. Now, I know you guys have heard the term people wearing rose-colored glasses. Well, the client has rose-colored glasses. So now the facts have been identified to them. The problem is that their way of dealing with the facts is to redirect those facts to the agent and say that they just need a different agent. So now, what is getting a new agent? How is that going to make her credit score get higher? It's not. How is getting a new agent going to get the husband to get a job? It's not, right? So now as I'm coaching with this agent and we're talking through the process, the agent immediately was like, well, I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to try to figure out what it is that I did. And I was like, that's exactly what you do not need to do, because their decision to get a NACA, and the way that they responded was that we're going to get a NACA certified realtor, right? So they're saying that the problem is not them, the problem is the realtor. So they're going to get a NACA certified realtor, although we're a NACA certified. And then what they're saying, because NACA, when they first went and met with NACA, NACA told them, we have an agent that we can have you use. who's a NACA certified realtor. So we'd already kind of went through that song and dance of discrediting that comment. Well, now the buyers have reverted back to wanting a NACA certified realtor. Okay, so the agent said, well, I'm going to go in there, and talk to them about, why, what did I do for them to, want to use a different agent? And I told them that's absolutely not the way to approach it, because it's not about you, right? So what you do is that when you speak to them, you ask them, why do they feel like they need to use a NACA certified realtor? And then you just be quiet. See, you don't make any more responses based off speculation. You only want to respond to what's coming out of their mouths, because they formulated something in their head. And because of what they formulated in their head, and it's generated a level of belief, and that belief is driving the action of them wanting to get a NACA certified realtor. Well, what is that belief that's driving that action? And that's what you got to figure out, right? So when you're dealing with that conflict, you got to figure that out. And you got to understand that that choice or that action has nothing to do with you. You have to take yourself out of the equation, right? So now what you're doing is that you're not going to defend yourself. You're going to educate and help them. See, so now you're coming from a place of contribution, which was another one of those habits of the top agents. They come from a place of contribution all the time. So now when you're speaking to that family, you need to educate them on they're making a bad decision. And this is what I told the agent. Even when you're speaking to them, you let them know it's your choice. If you want to go with another agent, you have that choice. I just have to do my responsibility as a real estate professional. If I feel like you're going in a wrong direction, I need to speak to you and educate you on that, because what you feel is going to fix the problem may not fix the problem. So let's talk through it. Let's find out what the real problem is. And so we can definitely identify what the solution is. And if the solution is you need to go with a NACA certified or an agent that is referred by NACA, if that's what the true solution is, then 100% you have my support. But let's first identify that as the solution, right? Because we want what's best for you. So you handle the conflict a lot differently once you identify that the choice and the action isn't about you, it's about something else, and you just need to identify it. So that's whether you're working with a buyer, whether you're working with a seller, and the seller wants to go with another agent, whatever the reason, right? You got to understand that the action isn't about you for the most part. Now, if you're doing a crappy job, then it is about you. If you falling short and you ain't getting the deal done, in this particular situation, I knew that it wasn't an agent. So I knew that they were doing a great job for the client. But if you are doing a bad job, then it is for you. You just got to own that. If you messed up, you dropped the ball, you just got to own that. But a lot of times it's not. It's something else, and you just have to spend time identifying what it is. Okay, so that's all I have for today. I think we had a star cast today, man. I think it has something to do with this seller. I think y'all want to know if y'all want to talk about sellers. So I think I might have to have seller in the list and in the name every week. Get y'all to come on to the meet. But that's it. If anybody have any questions or any comments or any dialogues, they want any coaching, we got April, we have Kim, we have Valerie, we have Shalanda, we had Carol, we lost Carol, LaQuana. Thank you guys for coming to the meeting today. I trust that you got something valuable out of it. Anybody have anything particular and specific they want to go through? No? Okay. Well, you guys have a great day. I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and close out with my theme music. You know, I like my theme music. Let's see. Oh, yeah. You guys have a great week. Go Texans. If you're a Texans fan, we know they play today, so go Texans. You know, we love Houston. We love Brooks and Davis. Let's go out there and let's make some money. All right, family. We'll talk to you soon.